a coffee shop in a city, which is every coffee shop in every city on a day, which is every day. Hello, friends, and welcome to the 23rd episode of Barista Unfiltered, a podcast dedicated to the life and times of baristas. They tell us what's happening in their lives and work in this free-flowing and unfiltered podcast. I am Jodie Leal.
And I'm Austin Miller.
And we're so glad you've joined us. Today, our guest is Matt Leal, and he is a barista at Otis in Lafayette, Colorado, like so many other people on our podcast. I mean, you guys must be wondering, you listeners, like, how big is this coffee shop? Because they have a lot of employees. We're eager to hear about his life on the road and experience his tarot card reading skills. Are you ready for that much fun, people? I don't know if you are, but we are. So the long and short of it is Matt and I don't know each other very well. So Austin doesn't know him at all. And we're just going to be discovering one another live in front of your faces and in your ears. So let's get started.
I love it. I can't wait.
Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Matt decided he would be on the podcast very spur of the moment, like 2 or 3 days ago. Molly is going to be on the podcast sometime in April. And so he is taking her spot. And so we super duper appreciate him just jumping in both feet.
Yep.
Is that how you do life?
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Do you get called on to cover shifts a lot?
Yeah, I'm actually, today is a shift. So I can't wait.
We're already delving. We've already figured out what kind of barista he is. Did you drink coffee this morning?
I did.
What'd you have?
I had Otis's hand-built house in a French press.
Okay. Mm-hmm. No milk?
No.
Just straight?
No. Yes, just straight up.
Do you ever add milk?
Yeah, for sure. I like coffee when it has cream and sugar in it because that's very comfortable. Mm-hmm. But it's super easy to take on the go when you sort of just do it black and you drink it really quick. So it's a give and take sort of situation.
Were you in a hurry this morning?
Yeah. Yes. I'm also the type of barista that sleeps too late. So I'm not late to things. I just don't have enough time to get myself in the position that I'd like to be.
Do you have an alarm clock?
Yes, but it also has a snooze button, which is a huge flaw in the design, I think.
How many times do you hit it?
Today it was 5 or 6, I think.
Oh.
So, what can you do?
I definitely have the same problem. So it's like, you got, like I've actually tried to be super conscious of this, like the past few weeks, is like not just rushing to the thing that I have to do, but like taking at least like 10 minutes to take care of myself before I go on and do the next thing, which is like, I don't know. It sucks when the thing that you're like budgeting out of your own life is yourself.
Exactly.
So, go ahead.
Usually those car rides are pretty good self-reflective moments though. So I don't find myself wanting too much.
Austin, how many times do you hit the snooze button?
Usually like 3.
Okay.
Usually 3. I used to never. It wasn't until like the past 10 years that I started doing that, but I'm still usually early. Like I set my alarm clock way earlier than I actually need to get up so that I can like enjoy that little time where I'm like half asleep and half awake and my alarm's gone off, but I'm like, yeah, I get 10 more minutes. I don't know. It's something about that, like stealing that like last few minutes that is like the reason that you go back and do it, I think.
Okay. I think you both have failed logic.
Yeah.
Because you actually get more sleep if you set your alarm for the minute you have to get out of bed. And then you're not like halfway between sleep and wake, you're full on asleep.
But then you don't have the feeling of triumph that comes with stealing those minutes from the day.
Yes.
Oh, I wake up practically gasping like, oh, I gotta go. I gotta make this happen. That's how I do it. But I do that Monday, Wednesday, Friday because I work out at 6:15 a.m. So I have to launch myself out of bed at 5:45 to make that happen. If I'm a minute late, I don't get there in time. And I go to this team training class where they close the door on you. If you are not there at 6:15, you don't get to walk in. You cannot arrive late.
As they should.
I know, right? It's hardcore. They're like, sorry, sucker. But there's treadmills and stuff outside the room. So if that ever happens to me and I get locked out, I'll just do my own team training. That's fine. I don't care. But I haven't ever had that happen. Okay, so let's get back to Matt. You're currently a barista at Otis, and I think I only see you at the register.
Yes.
Is that true?
That is true.
Are they scared of your coffee pouring skills?
That's usually it. No, this one is just, I've worked for a few coffee shops and it totally makes sense. Well, sometimes, but with Otis, it's just a quirk of the training. And I was hired recently, even though I have a lot of coffee experience. They just want to get things on the same level, training wise, to get things sort of official, I guess. So everyone who was hired at the same time as me, which is going to be me and I don't know if you know Hannah.
Oh, yeah,
are going to go through the same, are going to get our certification for Otis at the same time.
I see. So they have a process internally.
Yes.
That you have to pass through.
Yes.
What all's involved in that? Is there a secret handshake?
No, it's just a few training shifts led by Cam,
Okay.
and then at the end of it, it's you get judged fit to go, which I feel like shouldn't be too hard at this point for either Hannah or me.
And how many people are usually on a shift at a time there?
Usually it's 2. On busy days we have 3.
And if you have 2 people, say you have 2 people who both have their certification,
Right.
then do you just is there a protocol for like who's on register and who's on the machine, or is it just kind of like what, a discussion with the other person and you just kind of swap back and forth?
Or do you arm wrestle for it?
I would never be on bar if we arm wrestled for it. It's told to you beforehand which one you're going to be working.
Interesting.
But it's also flexible enough where when you have 2 people who are doing that, sometimes you could just be like, I kind of want to not make drinks today. Do you want to like switch jobs? And everyone's fine with it. So it's pretty flexible in that regard.
That's interesting because our arrangement at Spikes is just however you end up, like, so sometimes it's like this like weird mental battle of wills. You can tell when you're working with somebody and you both want to be on machine, and so you'll like try to like outmaneuver each other to get to the machine, or you can just tell it's like in this like body language that people do with each other, but it's not spoken out loud unless you're like with somebody that you're like super copacetic with. And then like there's one person that I work with, Angie, and we'll like just straight up address it, and we'll be like, all right, I'm tired of being on machine. Can we switch? That kind of thing. But sometimes you can feel people like jockeying for a certain position that they want.
Yeah.
Is it like a roller derby move where you like hip each other?
Kind
You know how
of.
they do in roller derby?
It can kind of go there sometimes.
Duck and weave situation.
Yeah.
Duck and weave. Okay, well, tell us how you got your job there. Did AJ hire you?
Yeah. Yes. Excuse me. I had been a customer there for a super long time. Back when I had a couple other coffee shop jobs, about a year and a half ago, probably. And Travis had worked with me way back in the day at Starbucks.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. And I came in because I knew he was working there, and I started getting to know the people who work there, and then I stopped having jobs. So I was like, I kind of want to work here. And I got an application, not an application, but I just sent AJ an email, and he called me over, and we had an interview, and I was not found wanting, apparently. So
now is AJ a friend of yours from way before?
I had not known AJ until I started to get to know him as the manager there.
Okay, help me. Did you know Victor before? Are you part of that peak to peak situation?
I have this weird conspiracy in my head that I have known Victor before.
Okay.
Because he has always been so familiar to me, and I can't place it, but technically I'm gonna go with no, just for truth's sake.
And you didn't go to peak?
No.
So you don't know Reese Beeler either?
I do not.
Okay, I don't know why I'm connecting you with those folks, but I get it that I'm wrong about that now. So you've worked in other coffee shops.
Yes.
And I think one of them is Starbucks, and you're willing to talk about that, like some people are not.
Right. This is an expose piece.
Yeah.
This is No, Starbucks was actually my first job.
Okay.
And that it was super rough. There's a lot of, I think, problems with Starbucks. And I'm not gonna try to make this an expose piece, but I think as far as sort of learning how to work a job, Starbucks was the best option I had to get me prepared for doing well later on. I think it sucked and I hated it, and you can ask Travis about it too. But nobody likes it there, and everyone's mean to you. But you get a lot of free stuff, so that's nice.
Was that here in Colorado?
Mm-hmm. That was in Superior, Colorado.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I know some Starbucks employees out here who love it and swear by it, and so maybe was it just a situation that your one coffee shop was particularly unbearable? And
that's a good point. I think actually in my district, my coffee shop was the best out of all of them.
Okay.
I think everybody loved each other, and our manager was very nice, and we were a decent store. We weren't the worst and we weren't the best, which is where you want to be, so nobody looks at you. Definitely there's a lot of people who like it, and I think more power to them. I just like to complain, I guess.
Or maybe it just wasn't a good fit.
That's definitely it.
Yeah.
Starbucks and me are not compatible as far as an employee work job relationship go.
But you're pretty happy at Otis.
Yes.
Sounds like it.
Mm-hmm. Usually at the independent stores, I'm pretty happy there.
Okay. Mm-hmm. As a customer and as an employee?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who has to hire people, thank God for Starbucks, because it's like, I think they'll hire people when they've never had a job before, and they have like really rigorous like training kind of thing. So it's like when you're looking, a lot of the people that we hire, like it's like they'll have, the baseline of experience at Starbucks. So then we can look at their resume, be like, okay, this is someone who can actually show up for a job and has like a baseline, and then we can retrain them everything on top of that. So, so in that sense, it's like, it's almost like if you've worked there, you've kind of gone through your boot camp, and now you're ready to, yeah.
Do you have to sort of retrain? Like they have to unlearn some things to?
I think every coffee shop has to do that. Like, because every place has their own individual way of doing things, and as you learn, like there's so many different ways to make coffee, and we each coffee shop uses some of those and doesn't use some of those, or has maybe like slightly different ways of doing things because of whatever equipment they happen to have. So so I think there's always retraining once someone's in coffee, and being a coffee employee that's worked in several different shops or many different shops, you always have to be open to like relearning things, because there's always gonna be something that's different.
There's a whole nother, they're all like independent cultures.
Yeah.
Right. That's what's great about an independent coffee shop, is that you don't know what's going to be going on in there necessarily. Like, what to expect at a Starbucks. And when you go into an independent shop, you're like, well, what's this space about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually it feels very warm, just always.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's true too. There's a lot of individuality present in the space, and so it feels diverse. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not one vibe, and depending on who's working, the vibe will change a little bit. So
yeah,
I love that about indie shops. So it sounds like you've worked in a few coffee shops. Are they all in Colorado?
Yes, they've all been in Colorado.
Well, have you been here forever in Colorado?
10 years now.
Okay. Where'd you come from?
I came from Texas.
Texas. Where's your accent?
I came from Texas. Actually.
I came from Texas.
It comes back a little easier because I was just there the other weekend visiting some family. But yeah, I'm more of a Colorado accent, I keep things chill and easy.
Yeah.
Are you from like city Texas or small town Texas?
It was a medium-sized quarry town. I don't know if you know Harlingen, Texas.
No.
Nope. It is it's pretty much the very bottom tip of Texas.
Like almost Mexico.
Almost Mexico. Definitely almost Mexico.
Harlingen?
Mm-hmm.
What does that name mean? Is that a person's name?
It must be. It has to be.
It's a weird one. So you left there 10 years ago, dropped your accent. Do
Right.
you still know how to two-step?
Never learned how to two-step. No. Didn't think I would need it.
It's not too late.
I guess I was keen to the fact that I wasn't going to be there forever.
Okay, did they run you out of Texas? What happened there?
No, we just moved. We had family who moved here, and if you look up online, Harlingen, Texas isn't a fantastic place. And we moved to Boulder first, and ever since then I've been here.
Okay. So your parents, did they grow up in Harlingen? Like, how did they end up there?
Around the area.
Okay,
Yes.
so they're from that area.
Rockwall, Dallas, and San Benito, Texas.
And their motivation for coming to Boulder was what? Like, did your parents find a job or?
It was a lot that it just wasn't a great area, and they could both just get jobs, usually wherever, just because of what they do. My dad drives commercial vehicles.
Okay.
And my mom is a pharmacist. So her sister moved here to Colorado, and we decided to follow suit.
Got it. That happens with a lot of families. Yeah. So one family member will come out here and sort of report back that it's wonderful, and then more family members move out.
That's exactly what happens.
I've seen that happen a lot. So 10 years, huh?
Yeah.
That's about how long I've been here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we moved. My husband moved 2009. I moved in 2010.
Where'd you all move from?
Well, I'm from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And my husband he's a Yankee, bless his soul. He's from New Jersey. And he was living in Rochester working for some company that ended up sending him as a consultant to Ball Aerospace in, I think, 99 or 2000. And I think it was 99. Anyway, he was out here for just a summer. And then Ball offered him a full-time position, and he just stayed, and he just loved it. Yeah. So he's always loved it out here.
It's very nice here.
Although the cold is about to kill us. We struggle with that cold. When you get older, you'll understand.
I'm already getting sick every winter. No fail.
Yeah, you have a lung infection right now.
Yes. It's fantastic.
So we're super thankful that you're lending us your voice and your energy since they are weak.
They have me on some good stuff. I've got boundless energy right now.
You're set.
You sound fine.
It does sound fine. Yeah.
There you go.
Just about coughed, but I didn't want to give anyone the satisfaction.
Well, you seem to me, and maybe you tell me if I'm right or wrong about this. You seem like a person who might have some fun stuff going on in your after work life. I don't know if it's because of the way you smile or the twinkle in your eye or what that makes me think that. But you're one of those people that, like, I don't interact with you much, but when I do, I'm like, what is his secret? Like, what is going on in there? So maybe share a little bit about yourself in that way.
I don't know.
Are you seeing it, Austin?
Oh,
you see what I'm talking about? Like, it's in there.
I do a lot of different stuff, and not for very long, usually. I like to leave a lot, just because it's a lot more fun than sticking around. I usually, and today's one of those days, I usually do poetry on Sunday nights at the Mercury Cafe. I'm not typically performing, but I will go on the open mic every now and then. I don't know. I like driving and I love people. So if I'm not doing anything, I'm probably going to be trying to hang out with somebody.
And when you said you like to leave a lot, what was that? You mean you like to take like excursions, or you like to be in an activity and be the first one to take off?
A little bit of both. I like to go on excursions, and I haven't been doing that as much lately, and I think I've been getting pretty restless because of it. But I'm going to California the 23rd to visit some friends there, and just little things like that. I know some great rock formations down off the highway in Wyoming. If you ever want to shoot off fireworks for the 4th of July without the police stopping you or something like that, it's legal up there. So
It's crazy to be out in those places like Wyoming and Montana and stuff like that, where you're like, I could really do whatever I want to right now because there's nobody around anyway.
Exactly. If you leave in the morning or late in the evening, nobody around.
I could drive like 110 miles an hour and I'm probably not going to pass a single car.
Exactly. Oh my gosh.
These thoughts never occur to me.
Really?
No.
Which ones?
That I could do anything I want to. When I'm in, like, we fly our little plane up to Laramie sometimes for lunch. And when I go up there, I'm like, what are people doing here? Like, why are they here? Maybe it's that's the reason they're there, is to get away from people. But it never occurs to me that would be a fun thing to do. Like, it never occurs to me that alone and big space is an awesome thing.
And I think I have a lot of young adult cynicism that I really try to fight against a lot, but it still comes out because I'm still not in control of sort of everything, I think. And I don't think anybody really is.
Ever.
Exactly.
We'll just dispel that myth about adulthood for you.
Thank you. I feel a lot better now.
You're going to be fine.
But I like it because I feel like I have options. And I definitely do, but I feel like I do it out of a little bit of trying to be a crazy young adult, and that I shouldn't be doing it for that reasons usually, but it's still fun.
I don't know. I think exploring and shifting things around, and having a routine is a great thing, but divorcing yourself from the routine has its merits too. Right. And I think on some level, it strengthens some wiring in your brain to mix things around a little bit, to shake things up.
Definitely.
Yeah. Get out of the rut.
Exactly. The constant rut.
Yeah. We're all you're in a rut, whether you realize it or not. and the easiest way to get out of it is to do something that you've never done before.
Right.
Leave a situation that you're stuck in, even though if it could be a good thing, but just to leave it for a little while. Yeah. And then just try something completely wild and new. Right. I think we tend to just define ourselves around a couple of things, and that's just what I do. Yeah. Right. But that's a boring way to live.
Do I have to pay?
And you start getting aches and pains that way. Because you're doing the same thing. You're using the same muscle all the time. Yeah. Whether it's in your brain or in your body, you're using the same muscle every day. Eventually that muscle is going to wear out, and you need to rely on some other ones.
Yikes. I think I have to leave now. I've been sitting here too long.
Don't leave the podcast. Don't leave the podcast.
Jodie, grab the handcuffs.
I know, right? I've got the dog gate up in the hallway. He'd have to find his way around that.
That's definitely not. That's beyond my abilities. Guess I'm here for the long run.
He's stuck until I move the dog gate. Okay, well, you're going to California. Are you moving there?
I am.
I thought that's what you said. Okay.
I'm moving there in the middle of the summer.
Okay.
That is, if all things go according to plan.
And what's the big idea?
A long time ago, not too terribly long, I was still able to drive. I went on this big, great American road trip for months with a friend of mine. Her name was Sarah. And at the end of it, it was very fun, and I can go into it a little bit later. But at the end of it, she ended up moving to California, and I ended up staying here. And that's sort of how it's been. We keep in touch, and I try to visit sometimes. But recently, I have just been wanting to do what we were talking about earlier, make a little change. And I think that's the next best step. She's wanting me to move up there. I'm wanting me to move up there. It's always nice to have somebody. It's always nice to not have to do something like that alone.
So are you just sort of vaguely moving to California, or any particular part?
Right. There's me jumping 2 feet first into something, but it's part of the visit to go up there is maybe to go house hunting. I say house hunting, to go super small apartment hunting, to find a place. And we have a few other friends who we're all trying to move into, a total of 5 young adults. And I think with the 5 of us together, we can find something. It's just a matter of getting that done before.
Are you doing the LA area, San Diego, San
LA.
Francisco, LA?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, with 5 people, you should be able to find that. LA is a lot more. It's more to me. I mean, it's super expensive, but to me, it's affordable compared to the Bay Area.
Yes.
With
definitely.
5 people, you should be able to swing it.
I'm sometimes scared to go near San Francisco, so
yeah,
this should be fun. I hope.
Are you afraid of San Francisco because of the expense of it and just
Definitely.
how impossible it is to live there?
Somehow I go there. I've been there a couple of times just passing through, but somehow I go there and I have like $50 cash in my wallet. And then by the time I'm out of there, I actually am in debt, 75. So.
Oh yeah, $50 is breakfast.
Yeah, exactly. it's eggs Benedict, which is
Oh man. But it's so great there. I love it.
Yes.
So much in San Francisco.
Super beautiful, for sure.
Yeah. It's a great place to visit. Do you think you'll work as a barista when you're in California?
Probably. I like being a barista. I like the service industry a lot. Because I just think that the type of person I am really meshes well with, being able to talk to a bunch of different people, at the register or at the bar. And I've never had an issue with sort of being able to do that. And I know coffee probably the best I know any other job. So it would definitely be the first thing I look into. Mm-hmm.
What do you love about it? Like, what do you love about coffee?
I say love. I do love it, but it's a love-hate relationship, I think. But that's just the general coffee industry, I think. I love all the people, from the baristas you work with to the people you get to talk to. But that also goes with the hate part too, which makes it a very complicated dynamic. Bad barista coworkers and bad customers are the people that everybody loves to hate, no matter what, I think. And it's easy to fall into that trap of being so cynical about, oh, it's another day and I have to go into the store only to get yelled at by somebody because I forgot to put light ice in their venti ice caramel macchiato with 4 shots decaf, right? I'm sorry. How long was I just talking right there?
As long as you needed to.
Like one way that I used to cope with that, like, so bad customers, like there was a time when that would like truly upset me. And now I kind of like, I act like they are the anti-hero on like a Netflix series or something like that. So it's like, I love to hate you right now. And it's like, like, I don't know what it is, but like, if I look at it that way and I'm like they're like, just by being awful, they're like creating a story for me that's humorous and they aren't physically hurting me. So if I look at it that way, like I almost kind of look forward to that person that I love to hate, like coming in just to give me that. I don't know what it is, but when I look at it that way, it like turns it all around for me.
So do you think that came with age, Austin?
Yeah, I changed a lot. Yes, I changed a lot. But I don't think that means that I acquired that because of my age. I think it just came to me at a different time. So I know people who are in their early 20s that are like right in the same place as I am with that. So I don't necessarily think it's age dependent. I just came to it at a certain time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's been a while, but
I remember vividly the first time someone aimed to insult me or hurt my feelings. And my response, instead of anger, was this compassionate, truly, like way from down deep in my heart, like, well, of course that's what you think. You're wrong, but I totally understand why you think that about me. And that moment, like I will never forget that moment. And I think I was in my late 30s when it happened. And I was so thankful for that person, like trying to make me feel bad. Because at that point I realized no one has that power anymore, right? Like you didn't get your light ice. Well, I mean, sorry about that. Here's a couple ice cubes. I quit taking any of it in. It was like there was this barrier now where you can't get through that anymore. It's so solid.
Right. And
You know.
yeah, I think for me, it's gotten to the point now where I'm. It's not even that I dread like a customer coming in and being really mean to me.
Yeah.
And just terrible. Sometimes I want it.
You want it.
I just get so excited. Because I'm like, oh, this is gonna be it. He looks like he's in a very bad mood.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, this is gonna be good.
And I just wait. I just want somebody to like start just berating me out the gate and just being the worst, because then you could flex the all-encompassing, hey, you don't deserve to talk to anybody like that. Leave my coffee shop right now. Oh man, I'm thinking about it now. It's never happened. One day.
Breathing in.
Exactly.
Breathing out. Yeah.
The other benefit to being somewhere for a long time, like I have been, is like if you watch people over time, you get to know the stories of everybody who comes in, and then you have someone new working with you, and they're like, "Man, why was that guy such a dick?" And I know the backstory. I'm like, well, actually, they're like, I'll know, like, oh yeah, this person actually has like some kind of like chronic pain problem or this or that, and I know the whole story, and I'm like. And so I can kind of be like, well, this is going on. And they're like, oh shit, I had no idea, like I feel bad for talking smack. I'm like, don't feel bad. He is being a dick, but this is why. And you kind of like can start to see how people's like what they're going through affects like how they behave.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely like try to carry that with me actually everywhere I go here in the city, because it's so crowded and you're constantly getting annoyed by people, stepping in your way or this or that, and kind of like trying to see like why they might be doing what they're doing. Because usually they're not trying to be a dick. They just, for whatever reason, their behavior is coming off as dickish. But I mean, there are psychopaths out there. Don't get me wrong, but most people are not psychopaths.
You're not defending the psychopaths.
I mean, I don't know. We could get into that.
I remember you doing that for me one day. I don't know if you remember this, but I was coming into Jodie a lot, and Kathy was sitting in the corner, and she would just shout out at you guys, at the baristas, like just not mean things, but like she was just talking right while you're trying to work. And I remember standing there going, that's kind of rude. And I was talking to you one day about it, and I was like, what's up with that woman that's always heckling you guys? Because it seemed like it was rude to me. And you very quickly said, oh, Kathy, she's fantastic. Like, she's harmless. She's wonderful. We love her. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, then I love her too. Like, it's almost like you're the people in a coffee community, baristas are, that really do know the full story of all. I mean, you know the most complete story of all the people that are in there. Yeah. So it in a way, you're like the kindergarten teachers, like sort of understanding all the plot. Do you know what I mean?
And we probably get paid about the same too.
Oh no.
I don't know. You guys might get more money than the teachers.
I know, that scares me.
And
that's sad. But I think that might, sometimes when teachers come in, I'm like, I wonder who gets paid more. Oh my God. And I see them with children, and I'm like, they should be getting paid 3 times what I get paid.
They have to clean up vomit sometimes.
Yeah.
They have to catch snot.
Oh, no. I've never had to do any of those.
Yeah, you've not had to do that yet. So yeah, whatever it is, teachers deserve the world.
And I would say that's above my pay grade. Oh no.
And they aren't getting tipped, I guarantee you.
They are not getting tipped. They do get, I think they get nice things at Christmas. Well, let's talk about your adult life. Do you have a big goal for your adult life, like careers, hobbies? What you got going on? You're going to school.
Yes, I am going to school. I'm not finishing it yet, but I'm making out like a bandit with the credits that I have earned, and I'm probably going to resume it in a year or two. I have no idea what I want to do. And that doesn't come from a place of fear or anything like that. I'm not super terrified of my prospects in the future. I just am deeply unsure of exactly what I'm very interested in. But I think I'm on the good end of that spectrum, because it's not that nothing interests me. It's that right now something new pops up every week.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would love to do thing A and thing B and thing C and thing D, but 2 of them require a bachelor's degree, and one of them is maybe 10 years of training, and you can't do it all. So at least I have a lot to choose from. Yeah. No idea.
I was a bit like that as an undergrad. I mean, I'm still like that a little bit. I could think of 10 jobs I'd like to do right now.
Yeah.
And I had to pick one. And I'm really happy with my job as a massage therapist. But I mean, I'm constantly, man, I'm teaching ukulele lessons. I've done dance instruction. Like I could do a million things. I think that's a good way to be, because whatever it is that you do pick out, if you pick out one thing or a few things, you'll always have a rich life outside of your work, because you have that nature of being interested in a multitude of things.
Yes, I think so.
I think our culture really does want you to like find something, like just pick one thing and like get to know it in a million ways and know it well. You can see this in medicine. Like in our medical culture, we have people who know like the inner workings of your kidney cancers on even numbered non-raining Mondays that are diagnosed, right? Like you got people like that have no idea like how the whole urinary tract is working in conjunction with the kidney. Do you know what I mean? Like they're so specialized that they are almost missing a bigger picture. Whereas like Eastern medicine, acupuncturist, or somebody who's doing a more holistic approach to health, is looking at all the systems and recognizing that they're all working together, and they look at the body and the person and the spirit and the mind all at once,
right.
So, and it's good to have emergency medicine. If I've got kidney cancer, I'd love a kidney cancer specialist,
yes.
But most of us don't need that. And so we're going to see providers that are deeply specialized, and we really just need somebody to tell us, go to sleep, drink your water, and be calm whenever you can, and exercise and eat well. Right.
Yeah,
so there's everything to be gained, like by having a bigger view. And I think that is against the grain.
And I think that's changing a lot too. I think you're seeing a lot of it's a very traditional way of thinking. And I think certainly starting very recently, it's starting to fall out of favor. And now we're looking more at something called gig economy.
Economy.
That a lot of millennials like to subscribe, or a lot of millennials are dealing with.
What does that mean?
It's
Jodie, you're part of it. What are you talking about?
I am. Yes. I don't know what a gig economy is.
What's your life?
Help me, people. I have no idea what it is.
It's to put it super basically, as somebody who has never looked at the exact definition of it, it is being able to do a lot of different things to be able to continue living and survive, as opposed to like settling down on a certain thing. You go for gigs, like
gigs. I got it. I was thinking like storage.
Oh no.
Okay.
No.
So, being a person who
not like gigabyte. No.
Okay, got
exactly. Who is adaptable, and I think adaptability is what is becoming a lot more important.
That's specialization.
Exactly. Certainly. Sometimes. Yes.
We still need people to mend our broken arms and stuff like that.
Yes.
with Western medicine.
Very much.
Thank you, like physicians that are taking care of us in ERs. We appreciate you.
Yes.
Yeah. Also, shout out to the acupuncturists. Woohoo! All right. Well, are you thinking about like a smattering of careers that you could like converge somehow?
Not necessarily. I think I always have this idea of like wanting to be a Renaissance man, and like I can fix a car and also, play the banjo or something.
Why can't you do all that?
I definitely can.
Yeah.
And those are like things that are interesting. Just like, I want to be a horticulturist. I want to do something with politics maybe, but it all feels very far off.
Legalization of weed.
Right. Maybe. I'm 20. I have no comment on that. What is weed actually? No, I'm kidding.
I'm the clueless one in this show.
I see.
Not knowing about gig economies, but being part of it. Well, tell us about, you do have a tarot reading skill.
Right. And I wanted to surprise you by saying that I can read tarot cards, but it was a more of a tarot scam sort of thing that I read.
The truth. This is an expose.
Please don't tell anybody who I've ever read for, but it goes along with sort of, I think, the theme of learning just any skill for when it seems useful. And when it comes to tarot cards, I don't know if you can see it back here.
Yeah, we can see them.
A lot of people, my skill comes less from being good at being able to memorize what every single one of these means, and being able to tell you like, okay, this means this means this means this, and more of this person is coming up to me because they want to hear something, because nobody really, you can tell if people sit down with you and they want to get their tarot read as a joke 100% of the time. And if that's the case, you like joke around with them and play around and you give them something kind of serious, but you don't have to put much thought into it. But a lot of times people will sit down with you and want a tarot reading for something. Mm-hmm. And that's usually pretty easy to figure out, either what they want or what they want to hear, from anything from a brief conversation to how they look, which is something that I think helps me in maybe something like being a barista.
Absolutely.
And talking to people and a service job.
Mm-hmm.
I think in a way, Starbucks has helped me tarot scam the hapless people of America. And shout out to Starbucks for teaching me these lifelong skills. Thank you, Howard Schultz.
Oh, that's the best thing I'm probably going to hear all week.
And I'm going to get a letter from Starbucks soon, probably. So.
They can't get to you now. You're out of the system.
That's true.
Okay, dare we, you pick a card or I pick a card?
Sure.
And let's see this scam in action.
Let's do it. So the scam usually runs in Jodie.
Should I pick a card for Austin?
Yes.
Sure. Yeah, let's do it. And I know Austin a lot less. So it's also one of those things where you can really impress your friends because
he's shuffling.
Because social media exists. Don't tell him it was a very bad shuffle.
Okay.
Because social
media. I could hear it.
Yeah. Oh. And a lot of people like to post about like stuff that's going on in their lives. And people think you're straight up psychic if you just saw their Facebook post from 3 days ago that was like, oh shoot, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed because this week is like an 80 work week. And then when your tarot reading has something to do with like, you seem very stressed and in need of rest. Then they're like, how did you know that?
Dark circles.
Exactly. Anyway,
picking for Austin.
Pick it.
Okay.
Or hey, let's
hold
it up.
Yeah. And, all right. There we go. Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Okay. Can you see it?
That's the tennis.
Yes.
Okay, it's got a little bit of devil and angel face kind of on it. Like a dark red face at the top, a bunch of crisscross swords, and then sort of an angelic, pale, like ethereal looking face at the bottom.
And this is Klimt tarot. It's the version of Egyptian tarot. So that means that if you had drawn it upside down, it would have meant something different than if you had drawn it right side up.
I didn't pay attention.
And how did I draw it?
You did draw it right side up.
Right side up.
Yeah. And I'm not entirely a liar. I do know what a lot of these mean anyways. So the 10 of Swords is representative of feelings of escape from an entrapment, essentially. It is the recovery of your mind or even body from whatever has been trapping you from something. This is a real tarot reading, what I'm doing, which is just going in super blind and hoping that the vagueness of what I'm saying applies to you in some way.
Right.
And then if it does, typically if we were in person, I could see you like suddenly nod or suddenly shake your head. And if you suddenly shook your head, I would probably very quickly say something completely different, but still that sounds the same. So an escape from being trapped, or maybe you feel like you have been trapping somebody else in a situation. Typically a 10 or above is representative of a person. So this doesn't have to be you, but somebody in your life that you know. Maybe you're even helping somebody escape from a situation where they feel trapped in some way. So that's what I would say in regards to this, right? And then I would ask, how did you feel about the reading?
Uh-huh.
And then you would say, that was the best thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Right.
But if
do people start confessing things at that point?
Yes. Yeah. I've heard a lot of things for
Yeah.
sure. One of them was, I don't know. One of them I remember was in San Luis Obispo, California. And I was by a creek and somebody sat down next to me. He was a young kid about my age. And I started reading his tarot cards. And he confessed after something I had said that he had gotten his girlfriend pregnant and that he wanted to run away with her. And they both like had a plan to move somewhere. And stories like that, like I don't know how to handle it, but you still have to keep on this air of like, yeah, I am mystical.
You can't look surprised because you're
Exactly.
supposed to be psychic.
And it's
So
a
you
lot
can't be
easier.
like, holy shit, that's deep. Like, whoa.
This is above what I'm capable of.
Right.
Not necessarily, but then you're in a good position to make somebody feel maybe not so alone. And that's, I think, really nice too, even if it all comes down to a tarot scam. And it helps a lot at the time that I had this big bushy hair and a giant mustache, and I had these John Lennon sunglasses on, so
Dude,
I had a lot of stuff going for me at the time.
So, did you master that? Did you master it for A, the sake of learning tarot, B, the sake of learning a scam, or C, the point of making money?
I wanted
Which
to
of
learn
the
1 and 3 equally. And then 2 just kind of happened because of who I think I am as a person. But my partner at the time she is fantastic at the violin. And so that's how she would make money. And she would always come back with so much money because she's just very good at her craft and people appreciate that. And I wanted to make money on the road, but I didn't bring an amp or my bass guitar there's nowhere to plug it in on the street. It's usually an unwise thing to travel with. And I had a pack of tarot cards. So I decided that I would try doing that. And it worked out. I never made as much money as she did on an excursion. But I think also I find a lot of fulfillment in being able to connect with people that you just can't do when you're just performing.
Would you set up close to where she was playing the violin, or would you set up like, yeah? So you guys would be like kind of camped out together and she's doing her thing and you're doing yours, or?
I would be close enough that people could hear sweet violin. I think it set a nice atmosphere.
And then did it get competitive between the two of you? Like, and did you ever?
It was always an understanding that I was not going to make as much money as she was. But it worked out fine because that particular Great American Road Trip, I had planned it for a very long time and she had jumped in spur of the moment. So I had savings saved up. It wasn't as important for me as it was for her. So it always ends up working out.
So before we get into talking about the Great American Road Trip, which sounds really fascinating, my first random question was, what area did you find, like what place where you set up, did you find the most receptive to your busking and reading tarot cards?
The most receptive was definitely San Luis Obispo, California. If we're measuring reception by the amount of money you made, but also people there are very friendly. San Luis Obispo, California, and I think that can be followed by man, this one's tough. Oh, Nashville for sure.
Okay.
Nashville for sure. A lot of places though, it was tricky because we didn't know what the law was. And for instance, in Santa Fe, you go to Santa Fe and you see a lot of people street performing, but then you get a little closer and you realize all of them have the permit thing.
Right.
And there's so many that you can almost fool yourself into being like, I'll probably be fine. They do not like it if you don't have a permit and you try to busk in Santa Fe.
And same in Boulder too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Boulder is. I don't read tarot anymore, but I definitely would never do it here in Boulder. There's also somebody who does it for free on Pearl Street, so what's the point, you know?
I mean, there's a lot of people that are looking for that, so
yeah,
there might be enough market.
And what was the most difficult place you tried?
Yeah.
Santa Fe comes to mind. Las Vegas, I would say. Las Vegas was both my favorite city and the worst place if you wanted to street perform. Because people there are, I think, a little bit cynical of anybody busking. And I never ran into any problems, but there was always this air of we weren't supposed to be doing this wherever we were. And people gave us looks. And even though we were like a couple blocks down from other buskers, it just didn't feel comfortable. It felt hostile. So love Las Vegas, my favorite city, but not good for anything like that.
I've never heard anybody say that. What do you love about Las Vegas?
I don't know. I think it's because I'm a little bit ADD, but the lights at night in Las Vegas take my breath away. And I think my experience with Las Vegas was super unique. I don't know if you guys know the show Skin Wars on Netflix.
Mm-mm.
It's a body painting competition. But I got to stay in Las Vegas with Robin Slonina, who founded that show on Netflix, and she's pretty much a nationally renowned, I would say world-renowned body painter who sets up at Skin City in Las Vegas. We stayed with her and her husband Jimmy, who's a clown for the show Mystère, the Cirque show, and their adorable little son Leo. And through them, we got to meet so many performers and so many amazing people, and we weren't 21 at the time, so it was less about gambling, and the experience was a lot just about getting to know the people who do call that area home, and it was very unique.
How old are you now?
I'm 20.
That's what I thought you said.
Mhm.
So that's you're describing a whole lot of life, like before age 20. So when was this Great American Road Trip? When did you do that?
Where are we now?
We're in 2019.
We're in 2019.
It's March.
I guess it was 1 year and a quarter ago, I guess.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you finished high school and then just went.
Yeah.
That was your thing.
Finished high school, then just went. I went from Colorado to Boston by myself.
Picked up that accent too.
Boston. Ugh. Oh no. And I came back and I picked up Sarah and we went west.
Okay.
So I've been from Los Angeles to Boston. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Los Angeles was a little bit on fire at the time, if that helps you sort of.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, get a good timing down. And I'm so full of myself when I say I've been from Los Angeles to Boston and everywhere in between. But
that's your story. Stick to it.
Yeah, it's fun. About 1 year and a quarter ago.
And how long did your trip take? Like, how long were you gone?
Probably 4 to 5 months.
Did your parents hate this?
I gave them a lot of time beforehand. I gave them a lot of warning, and I took a gap year after high school, and they understood, and they supported the fact that I'm taking the gap year, so I'm in charge of sort of everything in regards to taking care of myself at that point. Mm-hmm. So I can definitely do whatever I want. If it's a road trip, that's fine. You got to come up with that money, right? And you have to get that planning done. So it was a good experience in a lot of ways, I think.
Was high school hard for you?
I liked high school. but it wasn't anything special. It was hard for me in an academic sense, but I think that's only because I wasn't a great kid at the time. But I've grown up a lot, and I'm sure if I went back to high school, if like I transferred my mind from now back to the beginning of high school, I could do it great. But I'm not. I'm not dissatisfied with what I experienced.
Were you into theater or anything?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, did you act? Did you do lighting?
I was more of a choir boy, so that means I did the musical as much as I could, and I actually did pretty much I did pretty much everything. One show I was in it just as an ensemble. That was probably my freshman year, and then I was crew, so I was spotlight, and then I was doing the play the next year and doing crew for the musical, and it was just a big mess of this semester I feel like doing this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So in the same way that you've approached your undergraduate work, you just loved doing all the things.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
I did. I got a little tired of doing spotlight, but I think that was just because of I felt like I was poetically bitter about like trying out for this show and not getting a part, and then ending up being the person who's spotlighting them. But that's funny in hindsight now.
Yeah, and it's a very important role.
Exactly.
If you had gotten it, you'd want somebody to be serious about your spotlight.
Exactly.
Right.
And I was damn good at my job.
I know you were.
I know you were. Best spotlight ever.
Yeah, I know you were. So I sort of know some of these answers because when you walked in the house, you noticed my banjo and my ukuleles. Do you already know how to play ukulele?
A little bit. I know 4 chords.
And they are.
See, do you have your ukulele? I don't know them.
Oh, but you can show them to me.
Okay, so I know this is C, I think.
C chord.
And then this is
A minor.
And then this is
F.
And then this is
what's that? G.
Oh, and then also maybe this one?
E minor.
Sad. I love it.
I'm sure I didn't sing those right, but.
And then it's just. I'm still learning, and I can never get to that last one in time. But it's fun. It's still addicting, regardless.
Did somebody hunt you down and teach you?
No, I just decided one day I wanted to play one, and then I bought one on Amazon, and then I've been kind of learning how to, and then I fell out of love with it, and then Jake got me reignited with it because he bought one. Exactly.
Yeah, and Jake the roaster is hot.
He's wild about it right now.
He is hot about it. Do you know he called me evangelical?
I can see that.
You could?
Yeah.
He came up to me one day and he goes, after I taught him some basic chords and like, he's a guitar player. So he picked it right up. But he goes, I totally get why you're evangelical about the ukulele. And I was like, what? Evangelical? Okay, well, okay, I'll take that. I'll take that. And he goes, it's so easy to put it in someone's hands and teach them. And it's just so fun and it's so easy for them to learn. So I think he has now become that.
Definitely. I really wanted to make the last jam too.
Yeah. Well, we'll do it again. I don't know if I told you this, Austin. I'm teaching ukulele lessons and hosting a little jam at Otis. And it's primarily, I think it's second, it's either first or second. I can't keep up. Thursdays of the month. It goes from 7 to 8:30. So if you're in the Denver area and want to learn ukulele with some awesome people, the ukulele lesson runs like 7 to 7:30. I teach you 3 chords, get you going on singing and strumming. And then we progressively get harder through the night. So the next half hour is 2 and 3 chord songs, like mastering the chord progressions. And then the evening, like the last bit, the 8 to 8:30 is like more difficult songs and solos if people want to do them and that kind of thing. It's just fun. And we had a blast. And this past Thursday we did it and had maybe 15 people, everything from like 8-year-old kids who were learning to like adults in their 40s and 50s, all jamming together. It was a good time. So if you're in Denver and want to come, the next one is April the 11th and we start at 7. So come on.
I'll be there.
Come on out. Yeah. And Jake and Jessica will be there. Jessica is Jake's beloved and now she is rocking the ukulele too. Yeah. Austin, you need to learn to play ukulele.
When I come to Colorado.
Okay. Soon, right?
Yeah,
Maybe.
I'm hoping so.
Okay. All right.
So-
Well, I don't. Do you have any more questions for Matt, or should we try to wrap this up? We've been talking an hour.
I have a lot of questions, but we've been talking in an hour.
Well,
So,
why don't you just hit him with a couple more, because I want to hear the answers. I want to hear the questions and the answers.
Okay, so I'm coming back to this busking thing because it's really interesting to me, and I'm curious did you do it in San Francisco?
No, actually, I was in San Francisco the first time for about 6 hours total, and it was just enough time to accidentally break into the San Francisco Botanical Gardens and get trapped inside.
Nice.
But after,
Okay.
yes, but the second time we were just there for fun. I never got to busk in San Francisco, and also I never saw people busking on I don't know what that main sort of street is called.
Haight Street, maybe.
Maybe it's the one with all the shops. It's like the Pearl Street of San Fran, of which there are probably
Near the water.
There's a lot of them, but for whatever reason, when I picture busking, I picture people being on Haight Street, and that's like coming off of Golden Gate Park.
Okay.
And and there's a bunch of shops and like hippie tie-dye stuff.
It might have been. I might have just been there when there wasn't a lot of sort of activity out at the time.
Yeah. Well, I would think that in San Francisco it would be challenging actually, because there's the same thing you were describing in Vegas of like, people kind of being like a little bit like jaded about things. And there's just like so many people that come and try to do that kind of thing that I would imagine you get a better reception sort of in a smaller town or a college town or something like that. Like
college towns, absolutely 100%.
Yeah, yeah. I would think so. Like bigger, like everybody dreams of like coming to San Francisco and doing, like kind of reliving like the late 60s. But there's been so many people that have done that over the years that this city is very jaded and to some degree about things like that. So, which is sad because it's kind of like here in Berkeley are kind of the places that invented that lifestyle. And now they're just like dealing with it all the time in a sense. Like, and I think there's also turf wars. Like here, it's like, if you get that prime corner, it's kind of like, and I think that would be the same in Vegas as well. Like people have their hustle going on and they like, they're kind of like ganged up, like they own that corner and you better not like try to step onto it. And I would imagine Haight Street is a lot of the same way as well. Like if you've got your hustle going on, somebody else doesn't want you to interfere with it.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case.
Yeah. And in Vegas, I'm imagining there's a lot of competition too for that prime corner.
Yeah.
And then, so what was a highlight of your cross country trip that didn't involve busking?
We got to get into a burlesque show that was put on by performers by circus performers for circus performers in a little theater that they have that I just wish I remember the name of, but they always do these things to blow off some steam and to just have some fun, and being able to see that for free at all, because it was just open to sort of a lot of performers and like close friends of performers, that was one of the highlights. I also really liked sleeping in Death Valley. I don't know. There's so much. I'm a huge fan of just being able to look at things and be in an area like an empty road in Utah or something like that. I don't know. It was just so fun.
Well, I've done that. I've driven cross country 4 times, so I could go on and on and on with questions about this, but we only have so much time on our account.
Well,
I can talk about my stilts. Do we have 45
Yeah, we got
minutes?
plenty of time. Tell us about your stilts. How does anybody
continued.
learn to walk on stilts? How does that start?
It's like riding a bike. I trained with a circus company for a little bit.
Of course you did.
But once you pick it up, it is like riding a bike. It's just a matter of not falling down, which I've never done on accident. Knock on some sort of wood.
Knock on a massage table.
But you're always falling on stilts, so You have to walk with the fall.
Okay, that's cool. I like that.
Mhm.
Now, how do you get up onto them? 'Cause
You
that's
use
what I don't get.
a ladder, or you start high, or another person. And there's a special position that you have to walk somebody who's never done it through to get yourself up on stilts from a crawling position. And that involves them being perpendicular to you in also a crawling position, and then slowly getting up in a certain way while you sort of hold on to their shoulders and stuff for dear life.
That's what I've seen. But I wonder, I mean, do you always have to have a spotter, or can you ever do it by yourself?
Yes, you can easily do it by yourself by just starting, like putting them on a counter or something, somewhere a little bit high. I get on stilts every Halloween.
Why aren't you at my house?
And I love scaring kids, so yeah.
What do you wear?
Usually just a big mask, and I have these red stilt pants, so it goes really well with trying to be a scarecrow. But I'm working, or I have an idea for my next Halloween costume, and it's just a big plague doctor, an 8-foot tall plague doctor in long black robes,
blood everywhere,
a lantern, I'm thinking, and then I don't know. I have a lot of great ideas for this. I love scaring kids. I think I already said that. And so it subscribes to a lot of my ideas when it comes to Halloween.
You love scaring kids.
Yeah. Well, not like, just for fun.
You like to make Halloween terrifying for them.
Exactly.
And they're kids are like looking for that.
Yeah.
Kids want to be scared.
They do.
Otherwise it's boring.
Yeah.
Exactly. I feel like I was scared as a child during every Halloween I ever had. So these kids deserve the same thing. Gosh darn it.
Kids will make up whole stories in order to scare themselves because they want to be scared.
Yeah. Do you know, we used to read that book to each other, The Tales from the Midnight Hour. Did you have that? It was all these ghost stories, and they were like maybe 5 or 6 pages long, and we would read them in the dark in a closet and scare each other. Just reading.
You were desperate for that feeling of fear.
Desperate for it. Yeah. That's so true. That's so true. Well, I know you have to go to school.
Yes.
What time do you have to be walking out?
I mean,
soon.
Probably it'll take me 15 minutes, so I can.
You're okay.
Yeah, I'm okay.
All right, Austin. Any last thoughts?
No, I really enjoyed this conversation. And
I knew it was going to be great.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Because how fun has this been getting to know each other?
And I also was really interested in your setup. So
this situation. I know it's so easy to have a podcast, people. And I was just on, I don't think I told you this, Austin. I was on the Ooptown podcast this weekend. Stuart invited me back, and I got to be on the show, and I can't say enough good things about Stuart Yoshida and his Ooptown podcast. If you're into ukuleles at all, it's just one of the best. You can learn so much. And I was so thankful that Stuart is a kind person. And when I wanted to figure out a setup for our Barista Unfiltered podcast, he very kindly sent me a quick email with like all the nuts and bolts of how to do this. And he's encouraged me all along and been such an inspiration to me. And I would love to pay that forward. So if there's somebody listening that has an idea for a podcast and you just want a little bit of guidance, it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much equipment. And it's super simple. Most of the equipment you already have. Like the important thing is the computer, but the other pieces of it are pretty easily obtained. And I mean, we do pretty well managing.
And not terribly expensive either.
Yeah, it's totally doable, and we're just having a blast with it. So it's way more fun than you imagine it's going to be. I think that's the best. The best secret about a podcast. And then I shared this story with Austin that I went to orchestra. I'm in a ukulele orchestra. And I went there a couple Mondays ago and sat down. I was getting myself ready. And this 20-something woman, there's 80 people in ukulele orchestra. You just don't know them all, sure. Right? Because you're busy playing. But so she turns around and looks at me like eye to eye. And she goes, "I love your podcast." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." And I thought, I said, "Well, you listened to the podcast with our conductor, Gary. He worked at Starbucks." Mm-hmm. I was like, "Oh, you listened to Gary's episode?" She goes, "Well, I mean, that's how I started, but now I'm listening to everything." And I said, "Oh, that's awesome. Like, what's your name?" And she was like, "Erin." And I said, "Oh, extending my hand, I said, 'I'm Jodie." She goes, "Oh, I know." It's already happening that people know more about me than I think they do. And I'm running into people. We just had the same moment with Matt a couple of days ago. I didn't know he was listening to the podcast. And he was like, I think he was handing me something. And he was like, I love the podcast. And I was like, you need to be on it. So it's really a neat way to share, your life experience with other people that are tuned in to the same things that you're interested in. So if you have an idea for a podcast, just do it and we'll help you. What's your idea for a podcast? I feel like there's one next to me.
Okay, so
I'm no tarot scammer, but I'm feeling
it's a comedy forward podcast, and that's the title, Comedy Forward. And the idea is you have a certain topic that you do a little bit of homework on every week. Me and my friend want to do this, and we research this topic, or each person gets a different topic. That's probably the one we're going to go through. And using our very amateur sleuthing skills, decide to give a brief and probably incorrect history on what we think the topic is, while also just riffing on these sort of probably wrong things that the other person says. So, you can't go pretty heavy with that, but you can definitely learn about magicians as much as you want or something like that.
I think you should do like a tarot segment.
Yes. No, I mean, something like that would be so simple to just pretend I know the history of tarot because I looked up a Wikipedia page for an hour.
Yeah. I think that's fantastic. We all need to laugh more. So a comedy forward podcast.
Yes.
Just do it.
Comedy forward.
Okay. Well, you heard it here first, folks.
It's a grand debut.
And we'll promo you when the time comes.
Thank you. I'll come back, and if you want, I can grow out my hair for the next time, sort of get a big mustache going. And hello, how are you?
Is that your tarot voice?
No, if I could choose, it would be vaguely French, but I can't do that yet. So,
well, whatever happens, I'm sure we're going to want to hear about it because you've lived a whole lot of life in just 20 years.
Yeah, and hopefully I'll live a thousand years more.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you will.
That's
They're going to
plan.
figure out how to reverse aging, and you're going to be here forever.
That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. So it'll be good that you're a Renaissance man because maybe there'll be a second Renaissance. Maybe you'll start it.
Ooh, that's a lot of pressure.
Oh.
Let's take small steps.
Okay, you never know. All right, Austin, anything else?
Nope.
All right, well, as we end this episode, we again want to thank Matt Leal for being with us today and thank all our listeners for joining us. We want to hear from you guys. So send us your emails at info@baristaunfiltered.com. If you know a barista or a coffee industry expert that we should be featuring on the show, write to us and tell us. We want to hear it all. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. We are getting close to our subscriber goal on YouTube, but y'all get out there and just like us for half a minute, please. And if you want to write us a review, Apple's iTunes podcast app is the place to do it because that gets us noticed by other listeners that are out there that don't know about us yet. We've got some podcast patrons through Patreon. So if you want to join those cool kids and support the podcast, you can find that link at patreon.com/baristaunfiltered. As we wrap up, I'd like to thank Matt again. And I'm Jodie Lee.
And I'm Austin Miller.
Y'all be good and stay caffeinated. We'll catch you next time. Ciao.
Bye.